want to pass these around, please.
Got a couple of things. Real quick update on Carter County Online, and I think Ms. Campbell's going to be sending some numbers out there.
She's passing it around right now.
Right now, we have 158 students logged in, making progress, doing what they need to be doing. Roughly 68 of them, well, not roughly, 68 of those are brand new students to the Carter County system. About 90 have been in the Carter County system at some point, but out of that 90, from my list, about 50 to 60 of those were either going to homeschool or somewhere else if it had not been for the online academy. So we have 158 students enrolled, doing what needs to be done. The list you have there are the number of students that have went from, well, like Central Elementary had one. That's where they have left from and going to the online. But a lot of those that have done that, in conversations with them, they were going to homeschool or some other situation, and they chose to do the Carter County online. Any questions about that? Just to give you a couple of ideas, we have, I think it's about 10 or 11 special education students that are in this online academy. We have had some challenges in addressing some of those, but we've worked through those, and the special ed department's worked well to get some of the IEPs uploaded in some of those. We've also, when we first started, I've probably dropped about 12 to 15 students for not logging in, not making progress, not making effort online. The courses are rigorous, the courses are tough, I'll be honest with you, but I've had to drop some for not logging in, making progress, and doing what needed to be done. And all of those except for one have returned to Chromebooks. I'm in the process of trying to get that one. Any questions about that?
Mr. McClain?
Yes, sir.
Won't you tell us about what Ginger Holden told you last night on the email?
Okay. Ms. Holden, that used to be a teacher at Hampton Valley High School, I'm glad you said that, Mr. Powers. Ms. Holden got an email from an Elizabethan parent, and it was bragging on the board for offering the Carter County Online Academy and talking about the tremendous help that it was for that child's daughter with some of the things they've had to deal with in the past. And I don't have the email in front of me. Matter of fact, I'm going to have her send that to me, and I'll send it out to you. You guys need to read that. Thanking you for allowing that to happen. Before I talk about chronic absenteeism, I do want to add one more thing. And again, I realize this is a rough time to be asking for this, but I do want to talk about a person to help with this online program. And when I say that, I am not talking about a clerical person. I'm talking about a counselor / mental health person. We are having so many issues and challenges that our students are seeing in Carter County that we truly need somebody that is focused on mental health for some of these students. And I'm not just talking online students. I'm talking about what we are seeing with our students countywide. We need somebody that has the background, the training, that can deal specifically with some of the mental health issues, with trauma-informed discipline, and several things are going on. And again, I know it's not something, the decision can be made tonight, but I do want to have that conversation going forward about considering a counselor / mental health person. They can do some of the counseling issues with the online program, but could also help with some of the mental health issues going on in our school system.
But could they go into the regular school and into the online both?
Absolutely, absolutely. You're talking about the person I'm talking
Right.
about? Absolutely. You know, and I would envision that being a couple hours a day, making phone calls to some of these online students, you know, checking in, making sure things are happening. I can check the progress, which is not that hard to do. But some of the phone calls and some of the issues, I don't want to say issues, I want to say challenges. Some of the challenges that some of these parents and students are facing, guys, and ladies, it's a huge need. It's a huge need for Carter County. Not just Carter County statewide, but it's a need. It's a need.
I agree with you, but we also have a specialist in our principal leadership.
I agree.
Who has
Trauma-informed.
trauma-informed, been recognized by the state. And Mr. Church needs to lead that work. It's one thing to give the students help, but it's another, which they need,
Yeah.
with a counselor. But teachers have to know trauma-informed practices, and they have to know what to do to help those kids when the counselor's not there. And it's a whole new avenue of information.
It's a change of mindset.
And I don't mean to embarrass Mr. Church or anything, but he's state recognized in the work that he has done with that. So I really want to see him lead in that work and also assist in finding the right counselors to go in. A counselor is like a teacher. We all have a piece of paper, but to find it for trauma-informed practices, it's special people. Wouldn't you say, Mr. Church?
Absolutely. And Dr. Boone, I'm glad you said that. You know, before I came up here, I was sitting back there talking with Mr. Richard, and honestly, that's the exact conversation we were having.
We were talking about it earlier
Yeah,
today.
he has the trauma-informed discipline background, and guys, and ladies, it's something that's needed. It's something that's needed.
I agree.
Moving on to chronic absenteeism, we met with a chronic absenteeism group a couple of weeks ago. We talked about various ways to encourage good attendance, as well as ways to deter students from missing school. We talked about rewards. We talked about deterrences, ways we can keep students in school. Mr. Ward was a member of that chronic absenteeism committee. There were lots of good ideas presented about rewarding, encouraging students to make sure they are at school when they should be. But one of the consensus that the group came up with was we currently allow 3 parent call-ins per semester to be an excused absence. That's a total of 6 per year, parent call-ins. The consensus of the group was to move that from 3 per semester to 2 parent call-ins accepted per year for an excused absence. That was the consensus of the group. Who all, raise your hand if you were in that group. Okay. There were several of you guys here. And that was the consensus of the group, to 2 absences per year. And again, when we're talking about chronic absenteeism, we can't differentiate between excused and unexcused. It just encourages parents and encourages students to be in school when they can. So I guess I'm open to any questions about that idea. But if possible, I would like to bring that up at the board meeting to put that into our attendance policy as 2 parent call-ins per year.
And that's the limit?
That's the limit.
Will that help our absenteeism?
Well, again, let me tell you why I think that will help. Well, that was the consensus of the group. Let me tell you why I think that will help our absenteeism. If you have 6 call-ins that are excused, and then you have 4 unexcused absences, that's 10 absences. You have 6 unexcused absences, that's 12 absences. That student cannot go to truancy board, that student, let him go to truancy board, that student cannot go to court because we are not at 10 unexcused absences at that point. If there are 2 parent call-ins, then, so that would take 4. Basically, you're at 10 unexcused absences, but that student could go to court. Now, again, medical excuses are still accepted, don't get me wrong. Medical excuses, doctor's excuses, and those things. But the group wanted me to ask that we go to 2 parent call-ins per year.
How about the time for time?
Well, the discussion about time for time was, we need to look at that through the course of this year, and come up with a plan and start that in August of next school year. That was the consensus of the group. I think that's what we agreed upon doing.
Do we have that flexibility?
Time for time? Yeah, it could be done, but again, with that being said, it's gonna take some resources. It's gonna take some resources, because you have to have people after school, and you may have to have people there on Saturday.
So that would be a budget item for next year's budget.
Yeah, exactly. And that's, and like Mr. Ward said, that's a big reason we decided we need to look at it this year, and look at putting that in next year's budget. Any other questions about chronic absenteeism? Any comments?
Thank you, Mr. McClain.
Thank you.
Mr. Taylor?
with you. One of our, security assessments are in and have been submitted to the state from every school. I haven't, got the feedback from that yet as far as what's been submitted, that those are tied to our safety money that we're that we're gonna receive from the state, which is $118,000 some odd dollars. So I haven't received feedback for that, so, but in saying that, we had a committee met, last Tuesday and talked about some of the things that are needed in schools. And, you know, you all put a lot of money into safety and security over the past 4 or 5 years. And, there's still some things that we need to shore up, like, for example, there's a need in some places for, window coverings and that sort of thing. Probably one of the worst ones is at Cloudland High School, because the front is not gated and there's no window treatments in those windows. So we're looking at things like that, along with doing some things here at the office. As I alluded to earlier, we've had some problems here, last 2 or 3 months, and so we're looking at maybe doing some things here as well to limit access to the building. Not, yes, limit is the right term. Limit is the right term. So so that we will know who is coming in and who is coming out. Currently, we don't know that.
Mr. Crane and I both had a problem at Valley Forge.
Yes.
Are you familiar with that one?
Yes, Ms. Wilson had, sent me some information on that, and we
Well, I
talked to
see
Steve
that.
about it. Probably gonna have to get, the architect involved, is that not correct?
Not on that one.
No, not
Fire
on that.
marshal will have to be involved,
The fire
in anything you do,
Well,
the fire marshal, the state fire marshal,
Yeah, that's not a problem though, as long as you got a crash bar on that door.
as long as she approves whatever we do there.
Yeah.
We have to submit a drawing.
You just gotta have a crash bar.
Panic
or
or-
get out.
So, we're looking at, you know, trying to address those things that things are really needed most and the most critical. Some other information I'm gonna share with you, we haven't actually received confirmation, but I know we're gonna get it because I got the MOU today. It's just a matter of fact of us getting the paperwork signed, everything back. Our CT department received the Spark grant, and that's because Carter County is recognized as an at-risk county economically. And so we will be receiving $36,000 for CT equipment. And some of the criteria for that was we had to identify something. It had to be identifiable or came to advanced manufacturing. So we wrote that grant proposal for that to be geared toward our welding programs, because that's really the only advanced manufacturing we have with our CD department. So we'll be updating equipment at Cloudland High School and Happy Valley High School for advanced manufacturing. And that was the criteria for the Spark grant, was to be tied to manufacturing, again, because of the economically at risk that Carter County is identified as. So we'll be getting that shortly. Also, I got some news from the mayor's office yesterday that, I don't know if I can get out by it or not.
You know, he said it's okay.
It's okay. Okay, so we got some information for them that, they received a 3-star grant, which is $50,000, and they, that was, written up to go parallel with the CT program for dual enrollment, dual credit, to help with costs for transportation for students that might be traveling, everything from, you know, our CNA students being able to buy their scrubs. I haven't seen the information yet, but from my understanding, what was shared with me, that those are the things that go along with that. So that's super good news for you know, our students. And the last thing that I wanted to share, these are this is something that I shared this with you, Dr. Boone had asked a couple of months ago. These are some of, and I haven't made copies for you, but I will give those if you want them. If you want to take a look, this is some of the work that's been performed by our teachers through August. And there's not many of them, but that will increase. So mostly that's from Mr. Wiltshire's place at Hampton and one project done at Cloudland, and then the meat processing, and let's see, there's one more, the welding in Happy Valley. So those will increase over next month as they get geared up and going.
If you wanna bring them to me, I can scan and email them to, out to them.
What's
If you
that?
wanna bring them to me, I can scan
Okay.
and email it to each of
Okay,
them.
I'll do that.
We have an auction online going on.
Yes, there's also an auction online that's going on, and most of that equipment is from, the old wood shop that we shut down at Happy Valley about 5 years ago. That is going on. Matter of fact, I'm getting emails, we've been sitting there, I've been watching them, the bids are, most of those bids are closing today, tomorrow, and I think might be one or two Thursday.
Most of that equipment is in good shape.
Some of it's better than others, but it's, you know, it's really old equipment that,
It's viewable.
but it's, yes. It's been in storage up at Siam for quite a while.
Is that part of the Hampton shop too?
No, we've all got rid of, all the Hampton shop is been sold, except we have some small things at the bus garage still get in storage up there. But we're about to get all that liquidated. Thank you.
One quick question.
Yes, sir, I'm sorry.
Security and fencing. I know, was that 2 years ago, 3 years ago, that we had, money set aside just for fencing?
Yes, sir.
Is that all?
That is,
Gone?
no, that is some money that we have in our carryover money from last year to this year. We still have,
30.
we've got about $31,000 in carryover money, but some of that, portion of that, about
18 was for site.
16,000, that's going for the safes for the SROs.
Okay, well, and I don't know all the needs. I know at Valley Middle School.
After that, we talked about that. Yes, sir. We talked about that.
Thank you.
Matter of fact, this boy's supposed to be getting some estimates.
Well, if you get rid of that on Slim Road and you bring it down, it's less fencing.